Well, welcome back again to the console here for another postlude. After so many positive comments from last week with the Bach piece, I decided that not only would we do another postlude showing both the hands and the feet, but also have just a short little introduction into the piece I'm playing this morning, which is Vierne's Carillon de Westminster. Vierne may not be a familiar name to you unless you're really in the organ know. He was a French organist, lived from 1870 until 1937, was mostly blind. Here in the U.S., we would say he was legally blind. However, he was able to see a little bit, and one of his students, Marcel Dupré, a noted French organist, noted that Vierne's manuscripts were often written on very large easels with a very large pencil so that he could see a little bit more clearly as opposed to tinier like we usually see in most manuscripts. He spent most of his life, in fact, about 1900 to 1937, as the organist at Notre Dame in Paris, the one that we all are familiar with. He was quoted as saying throughout his life that he would like to die playing the organ, which in fact he did. In fact, in June 2nd of 1937, while giving something like his 1750th organ recital in public, was playing one of his own compositions and either had a stroke or a heart attack and died and fell on the low E of the pedal board. So imagine being a parishioner or a congregant sitting out there listening to an organ recital and suddenly this very long pedal note is held, and that's when he died. And Marcel Duruflé, another noted French organist, was by his side when that happened, so he fulfilled his dream. His Carillon de Westminster, you will notice the theme. I did a concert up in Leesburg about 2 years ago where I played organ pieces with themes you might know, and this was what I ended with. The Carillon de Westminster, I call it the doorbell song, because its theme is taken from the Carillon at Westminster. As legend goes, Vierne called Mr. Willis, a noted English organ builder, and asked, could you hum the theme of the Carillon at Westminster so that I may write a piece on it? And he did, but oddly enough, we know the Westminster theme like this, but in Vierne's piece, we hear this. Very, very slight alteration, and no one is really sure. Scholars debate, did Mr. Willis hum the incorrect tune? Did Vierne hear the wrong tune? No one knows. This piece, Carillon de Westminster, is the end of a collection. This collection is in another collection called the 24 Fantaisie Pieces, and each of those are divided into 4 groups, and this ends the 3rd group. When Vierne was the organist at Notre Dame, the organ was literally falling apart. It had been there since the mid-1800s and was in need of some very good attention. And so in order to build funds, Vierne came to the United States and did a series of concerts, not uncommon really for a lot of the French cathedral organists of the early 20th century. He went to Wanamaker, where the organ there is still playable, did a concert there, and this entire setting, the 3rd section of these 24 pieces, is dedicated to the builder of the Wanamaker organ. And here we have the title, and you see we have the 4 groups, and the 3rd one here, the last one being Carillon de Westminster, and then you open it up and you see that this particular piece, you may not be able to see all the way back there, but up here we have a dedication to Henry Willis, if you remember the English organ builder to whom Vierne called to get the theme of this. Now, in terms of what happens in the music, it's kind of predictable. It's just based on the theme. There is no real form, which is why this is Pieces de Fantaisie. And you hear the tune of this carillon done throughout, and we hear it very, very unmolested at the very beginning. It's developed. It kind of, in my opinion, is very slow. Then we get to this very interesting and fast galloping theme that comes in the development section, finally ending with this very, very loud and brilliant French staccato. So, a little less rambling than last week, and here we go with the Carillon de Westminster from Louis Vierne.